the latest Red and Blue review show for all your Crystal Palace related chat. Please like and subscribe across all the usual social media platforms, especially our YouTube channel. This really helps us out. Now, let's get on with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening and a warm welcome to the Red and Blue Review. My name is Nick Philpott and I'm here to host for the next hour, joined by, well, a couple of old faces and one that we haven't seen for a while. And Mr. Noble, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, Nick. Good evening to you. Good evening to everyone. Are you well? Recovered from your trip?
I can't hear a word he's saying. Guys, can you, Paul, can you hear Ian?
I can hear Ian, yeah.
I can hear you loud and clear. Paul, how are you, mate? I can hear you loud and clear. I couldn't hear anything from you at all.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Nick. Yeah, looking forward to discussing Crystal Palace getting into the quarter-final of a European competition.
And welcome back, Theresa Baker, Nurse Baker from Red Hill Hospital. Are you well?
I am very well, thanks, Nick. Unfortunately, just shifts have just got in the way of my football. It's horrible.
Ian, can I just try you again? Because I got nothing from you at all.
Okay, I'm speaking now. Nick, can you hear me now?
I can't hear him. So, Ian, can you do me a favour, my friend? Can you do me a favour? I'm going to drop off and see if it's my end, and I'd like you to take over for a couple of minutes. While I'm gone, perhaps you three could discuss how you got on with all your travels on Wednesday and Thursday. I hope you had a wonderful time. I'll be back in a minute.
Don't let him back on.
So let's be. This is a good start, isn't it? So you can hear me, Paul. Yeah, you can hear me too.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's Nick. All right. Okay. Oh goodness me. Well, look. I love the sarcasm in his voice because he's got back from Cyprus and we haven't, of course. If you're in the chat and you went to Cyprus, tell us. We want to know. Did you have a good time? How was it for you? We know Nick had a good time. We were talking to him pre-show and he really enjoyed himself. And he's going to be sharing some stories, providing we get this working all right on the pod tonight. When did you watch the game, Paul, on Thursday night?
Yeah, no, I watched it at home in the end. As I say, we did, as you know, we looked at going out there, but annual leave got the better of me. And also, at the time we were booking, Cyprus was about to be dragged into a war. So it seemed a sensible thing to not go for it. Luckily, thankfully, nothing developed out there and everyone went out there, had a great time. So, so we didn't manage to go. No, I watched it at home. It's never much fun. It happens very rarely, as you know, but ultimately we
don't give me that nonsense.
The way I look at it is, if I had gone, we might have lost. So I take the credit.
Bunch of plastics, all of you.
Okay, so can you hear me now, mate?
I can hear you loud and clear, mate. Thank you, mate.
Back to you, buddy.
Cheers. Well, good evening to each and every one of you, especially out in the chat. I can see the YouTube chat. Samuel, I know you're out there. Some bloke called Penshaw Eagle. I don't know who that could be. Who could that be? He's been to Nigel Croucher. He's been to the ladies' game this afternoon, which we'll come on to later on. Got Jordan's out there. Good evening, Jordan. Robert D. Campion, William Jones. I can see Daniel Garland. I can see you all out there. Thank you for joining us here. It was a great trip. It was an excellent trip. Any details you'd like to know about the trip? It was boozy, and all centered around one bar in the middle of the town, which is away from the main tourist area. It was on the main drag, but it was where Palace which is where Palace decided that everybody was going to collect their tickets from. And a shout out to the Crystal Palace box office guys. There was 3 of them on duty and 1 security as well. They had it nailed down. If you're watching any of you, congratulations, because it was really well organised. I did get a chance to speak to Mr. McGowan on the flight on the way home. He was on my flight. I can see your message, Yasmin. I know you're out there. I spoke to Paul on the flight on the way back and said to him how well they had done. And it's to be congratulated. Only one question, though. Each and every one of us had to turn up. And I meant to ask Paul this. To the desk, obviously with our passport to confirm ID, which is rightly so. Okay, I think it's something's come from UEFA, from what I understand. And then I saw a group of our illustrious colleagues turn up en masse. Okay, but only one person went to the desk, and I'm very curious as to why that was. They all queued up with everybody else. but only one person went there. And all of a sudden, I turned around literally 2 minutes later. Bear in mind, each person was taking 2 or 3 minutes to get processed. This one guy turned up with all his mates behind him. He went to the guest desk and pulled away, and he was gone within 2 or 3 minutes. Mr. Noble.
Yeah, well, I was just going to ask you then. We did this in Dublin, of course. We picked the tickets up in Dublin. I can't remember whether we showed our passports there or not. Paul, can you remember that?
Yeah, they did ask for ID. Yeah,
we probably did. So we did it in Dublin. You did it in Larnaca. Is this going to be the norm for Fiorentina? Do you think that's how they do the tickets? Is that what you think, Nick?
I would assume so. Yeah. And
Yeah.
a special good morning, sir. Matt Watts in Auckland, New Zealand. Hello, mate. Thank you for joining us this morning. I think that's going to be the way forward. There's obviously some issues with people getting tickets in the wrong name, collecting tickets for other people, it all going wrong. Theresa, you want to ask a question?
I don't want to ask a question. I was going to say regarding tickets, there was a message from the club last week before the Leeds game that they are trialling out new turnstiles where the pictures should match the ticket. I don't know which stand it was in. You obviously, guys, you didn't see it.
It was just a normal. It was just a normal entry. I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you what you're referring to, Theresa. You've seen it at quite a few of the away grounds where you actually have to put your thing down on the scanner as opposed to up on the scanner or underneath the scanner. I think that's all it was. There was no difference getting into the home stand, as you know, because you were there. So as far as
Grant agrees with this as well. Grant Saunders, welcome, Grant, and nice to see you out there, mate. It'll become a lot stricter as the competition progresses, and will be the norm. So yeah, that's how it's going to be, isn't it, going forward?
Okay, and I'm going to tell you guys something, and it involves Grant Saunders. Grant, I know you're watching, mate. Grant was going to appear on the show this evening, but he's had a busy day. I wanted to send my personal thanks to Grant for A, Larnaca, and he knows what I mean. I'm not going to say that publicly, but B, for last Saturday. Now, last Saturday, this is nothing to do with Palace related per se, I suppose it is, but I spent 5 hours in the pleasure of Grant Saunders' company in his back garden because I formally applied for the stadium announcer's job. Okay, and he was meticulous with what we sent up to the club is amazing. He was absolutely outstanding, buddy. I'm very grateful. Thank you very much. And yes, I have applied for it, rightly or wrongly. Very bizarre application process, I have to say. Crystal Palace Football Club, if you're watching, all we had to do is put the video onto a link, okay, that they supplied us. And the only information they asked from me was my name, my email address, and this is what will put the kibosh on me, my age. That's all that, not a phone number, not an address, not my relationship with the club, or no details at all. Okay, just those three things. And then you upload the video, and I haven't heard a damn thing since. They're either busy laughing on the floor, okay, or laughing at my video, or they never received it. Thank you, Yaz. I'll see that as well. I appreciate you. In fact, Yasmin, you were my inspiration for doing it because of your message you put in one of the chats. So thank you so much. I'm very grateful to you. So that you were my inspiration for doing it. Anyway, back to the trip. So problems. People said to me I was mad for going so close to a war zone, but I can safely say we got there on the Wednesday evening. We went out for a few beers in the same bar, had a few beers. We went to bed, and about 3 o'clock that morning, there was this almighty bang. I mean, it was enormous. Okay, and I thought, oh my God, what is it? Well, it turns out, followed by this huge rumble of thunder, where the bad weather had started, because obviously we knew that it was going to be bad weather. There was no. I never heard anything else to the contrary, but there was no problems out there whatsoever. There was one British Airways flight it was a scheduled flight that was cancelled. It was cancelled quite a few days before the trip. And I know there's quite a few Palace fans who were unlucky enough not to be able to rebook. But apart from that, all the flights went, as far as I'm aware, on time. Ours certainly went on time both ways. And I went with 2 different airlines, going there and back with 2 different airlines. And the trip was from Stansted into Pathos, and then we drove over from Pathos to the stadium and into Larnaca. That's about an hour and a half drive. And on the way back, I was lucky enough to get a direct flight from Larnaca straight into Gatwick, and I was back yesterday morning or Friday morning, and it was fine. And it's good to see Lord Saunders out there. He was fine. He was in good form, and he's a good lady. And it's great to see so many faces, people coming up to me all the time. I want complete randoms in the bar. How do you feel, Pop, from the Red and Blue Review? And thank you for I watch it all the time. Go on, Ian.
And then you get yourself on the Crystal Palace Instagram page. A nice snapshot of you looking with your retro top on, sort of similar to this one I'm wearing now. And also young Azza, who watches the show with even younger Leo. So that he said, as I said in one of our groups, that's a fine from the school incoming. So he's taken Leo out of school for a few days and taking to Cyprus. Good parenting. It's all about the European geography, apparently.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I spent a lot of time with Azza and Leo and a couple of other guys. We were actually interviewed by a local TV station while we were out there. Me and another guy. I don't know why they picked me, but they did. Obviously, somebody had sent me because it wasn't just
because you had the perfect face for radio or something.
It wasn't just this podcast that was well represented out there. The others were as well. Terence was out there from Winging It. 5-Year Plan were there. I didn't see anybody from Back of the Nest. I don't even know if they're still in existence. But all the guys there. And on the subject of the other podcast, really good to see Kevin Day there. For those of you who don't know Kevin Day had a very serious accident recently, and I spent about 10 minutes with him. I wished him well on behalf of all of you. He was seriously, he nearly killed himself. He very nearly killed himself. I think he fell down the stairs, but he's still walking gingerly and everything else. But it was good to see a lot of old faces. It was a very good trip. We're going to come on to the game now, and if you've got any more questions in the chat, ask away, guys, because I'll happily get them. Just showing the rest of the podcast wasn't represented so well.
All right. Okay, we've done that one. We've done it now. Okay.
So, on to the game itself. Well, the first half, Paul's going to do all the actual match thing in a minute, okay? But the first half, it was dry, and it is relevant because the weather conditions were relevant. In the second half, however, and it was torrential rain. And I've never seen a football stadium do that en masse. Now, for the benefit of those of you listening back onto the podcast post the live show, we're currently showing on screen the stands to the left of us. Okay, all 4 stands were open. Okay, but the stand, especially to the left of us, en masse, put their umbrellas up. Now, if I was standing in that stand, okay, without an umbrella, I think to myself, how the hell can you actually see the game? Because there must be a couple of hundred umbrellas in that picture, and it's just bizarre that en masse, and it wasn't raining particularly heavily at that point. It did get a lot heavier. We got soaked, seriously soaked. Anyway, I'm going to shut up for a few minutes. Hand over to Paul. Paul's going to cover the game. You got any questions in the chat? Let us know. Paul.
Okay, let's get on with this then. So, so the press conference before the game, our manager, Mr. Glasner, he confirmed that Dean Henderson was still not available after missing the game the other day because he was ill, so he didn't travel, and that Daniel Munoz was back in the squad. I think we all thought he was going to start, but no, he was on the bench, and ironically he came on. It was the first time in his 95 appearances that he's come on as a sub, which I thought was quite interesting. But yeah, so looking at the team, obviously Benitez was staying in goal for Dino, and as in the first leg, Kamada and Walton were back in for Hughes and Lerma. So pretty much the strongest midfield and attack front line that we've been playing. Obviously Johnson continuing his out of position experiment at right wing back. First half, game starts. So there was the pre-match lineup. I was quite surprised we were in the away kit. Obviously we wore the home kit the week before, and they wore their yellow and green, so we didn't need to change, but we did. Whether that was a superstition, having not beaten them in the red and blue before, you never know. Perhaps they decided to go down that route. But yeah, the game starts, quickly takes the same shape as the last 2 games, to be honest. It's Palace having all the possession, playing the ball around the back into midfield, back again, keeping the ball. Larnaca not really getting a touch, to be honest. And first sight of goal, we played through into just the 3rd minute. Walton plays the ball into the box. And Jurgen Strand-Larsen at the back post volleys it back into the goalmouth, and Sarr just gets his foot to it and stabs it towards the goal, but it's just past the near post. So, yeah, starting as we mean to go on, hopefully attacking and being on the front foot. Larnaca did actually get a shot eventually in the 11th minute. Pretty weak shot at the edge of the box. Benitez just fell on it, not a problem. But showed they were going to try and get forward when they had a chance, but luckily we didn't let that too often. But straight after that, we took the lead. Finally got a goal against Larnaca. Again, Strand Larsen holds the ball up in the middle of the park. He lays it off to Walton, who play, as we know, Walton likes to play it forward whenever he can. First time ball, takes slight deflection off a defender, but Saar runs onto it and round the advancing keeper and rolls it in for 1-0. So, yeah, I'm sure, Nick, I'm sure the away end went mad.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it did go mad. I've got a couple of questions on it. What was the goalkeeper doing for a start? Okay, and don't forget, I have been very critical of Adam Walton. I know I said it on my last pod that, hands up, he played very well, whichever game we were covering. I'm reading the comments about my hair, you lot. There's nothing wrong with my hair. But the goalkeeper was suicidal, in my opinion. But B, a couple of balls from Walton during the whole game, absolutely outstanding. Absolutely. Ian, your thoughts, please.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great goal, really, because it settled the nerves, didn't it? It just settled us down a bit. We'll talk about what happened next, but I thought we'd go on and maybe get a second one, maybe even before half time, because we were settled then.
I'm just going to jump in, Ian. I'm going to jump in for breaking news. Thank you for Ian Donald. Maxence Lacroix has just been called up to the French squad. Okay, which is brilliant news. Sorry, buddy, for interrupting.
Breaking news here. Breaking news on the Red and Blue Review. You get it here first. So a really good ball from Adam Walton. I mean, he sometimes doesn't even look, does he? I did wonder initially whether Saar might have been in an offside position, but it didn't matter because it took the deflection of the defender. Was he offside? If it hadn't have it a defender, he wasn't. He was on. Okay. It looked at the time when I was watching it live as if he might have been, but that deflection of the defender meant that he was definitely onside, and he still had a little bit to do. Took it round the keeper. And as you say, Paul, rolled it in. So 1-0 just settled us down a bit. And pandemonium in the pub I was in. It was about, 15, 20 Palace fans. We had a great time down in Sussex celebrating because we weren't there, Nick, as you know. But it was the next best thing watching in the pub. It was really good. We had a great night, yeah.
Theresa, how did you see it?
I'd just come off a night duty the night before in that morning. So I watched it at home on the sofa. With my
what did you do when that goal went in?
Toasted them mightily with a very large drink.
Like the one you're drinking now, you mean?
What, this one? This is only a little one. It's only my little lemon gin and bitter lemon.
Very good.
Paul, I'm going to hand back to you in a second. I just want to mention somebody who I also saw a couple of times. In fact, he was at the airport. He's on my flight. A guy called Andy Ball. Ladies and gentlemen, older viewers of the Red and Blue Review and possibly the Red and Blue News days may remember Andy. Andy has appeared on this show, and he is one of the guys that runs I don't know, Andy, you're going to have to forgive me for not describing the people that you work with and for correctly, but he's the guy who runs the facility at Sellers Park for blind people. Okay, so he actually supplies a match day commentary to the blind Crystal Palace supporters. Okay, I believe it's all. It certainly used to go out on one of the hospital radios as well, and they do a magnificent good. Andy Bolton and Roger, audience description team. There it is, the audience description team. Now I know that the facility for that has now been rolled out across the Premier League, and I wonder. And Andy, I'm about to blow smoke up your backside, mate. You and Roger, that I think you've actually instigated something magnificent, not just for Crystal Palace Football Club, but widespread across the Premier League. Because I know the facility has been rolled out. So, on behalf of all of us here, congratulations for what you do, mate, and long may it continue. And he asked me, Ian, when can he next come back onto the show to discuss what they do? And I said,
bring him on, 100%.
He said to me, he said, I'm not waiting for the invite. Bully, you've got an open invitation.
Next show, mate. Get yourself on here. Because we've had Lindsay on from the DSA. I presume it's part of the DSA or linked to the DSA.
But funny you should ask that question, Ian. That's a really good question because he did say to me that they are now working very closely with the DSA. In fact, Roger, who Andy works with doing it, actually ran a quiz for the DSA very recently. The guys were telling me that this is all audio. This is not visual and stuff. So honestly, mate, look, keep your eye on the message going through on the chat, and because it's all about you at the moment and what you do. Massively well done on behalf of us all. Paul, I digress. I'm handing back to you.
It's an hour in the lead. Palace get back to playing the ball across the back slowly and just not really too much direction at this point. But with the odd foray forward, one of those attacks saw Johnson swings it into the 6-yard box, but Jurgen just can't quite get his shot off. Then in the 22nd minute, Kamada swings the ball into the box to an unmarked Sarr, and he heads home very nicely into the bottom corner. Again, everyone thinks we're 2-0 up, but VAR decided to get intervened. And it seems to take quite a long time because looking at that picture, it was fairly clear cut.
The Lino flag, Paul. I thought the Lino flagged.
Yeah, no, they gave offside, but the VAR obviously check everything. But it just seems to take a long time, that check for that. If they just saw that picture, you'd think it's pretty clear.
Of course, in the crowd, Paul, the longer the VAR took, and you're right, it did seem to take for, because it is pretty clear cut. In the crowd, the longer it goes on, you think, are they going to overturn? Are they going to overturn it? But they didn't, of course.
What do we think about that then? Do we think that Sarr should have done better? Does he need to look across the line and time his run better? Can we criticise him in any shape or form for drifting offside there? Because if he does hold back slightly, he probably still gets his head on it. I don't know. I mean, we had the goal against Leeds with Johnson offside where he didn't come out quick enough, having taken the corner. I think sometimes these players need to have a look at that. And I'm sure they practice it. I'm sure they work on it. But do we criticise Sarr in any shape or form, T?
No, I don't think we can, because the lines they're drawing are so tight. What was it? The last one was a chin, and it was literally a slight bit of his shoulder that was offside. And I don't think you can, as a player in the heat of the game, you can't regulate for that. You're looking at the player in front of your defender, and you see the ball gets kicked, and you're going to start your run. And you're not measuring it in tiny centimetres. You're just making sure that, as far as you're concerned, you're behind the defender when the ball gets passed forward.
Okay. I should throw it out there because, I'm not criticising him. I'm not digging him out, but because he was man of the match, without any shadow of question. But I do think sometimes they need to look across that line and think a bit more. Don't know. Paul?
Yep, so Larnaca still not providing much of a threat. They do get one cross across the box, which Mitchell does well to shepherd out of the back post. Richards, then we get another cross at the back to the back post to Richards in the next attack, and he can't quite control it from Sarr's cross, and it goes over. Then we get the game's first booking. Mr. Sabarit, Chris Richards, got the first booking. He took out their defender quite robustly, but I think the yellow was probably fair. That was then followed by Larnaca's first booking by their left back Sabarit for pulling Sarr back. Pretty clear yellow card, which obviously he would suffer from later in the game. First half at this point just seems to play out. Palace keeping possession, no real clear chances until the 44th minute when we have a corner swung to the back post, and Lacroix from a tight angle heads straight at the keeper. So 1-0 half time. We go in. All good at this point. As I say, we hadn't scored against them in 2 games, so it was nice to get that off.
Paul, in the stand, it was quite a general conversation people were having out there, and the beer at half time, by the way, I'm sorry, Ian, close your ears, it was dog shit. The beer at half time was poor quality. Anyway, the conversation was quite an interesting one because we put ourselves in a different position. So each time we bloody played Larnaca, and I never want to go to Larnaca or hear of Larnaca ever again.
I saw something that made me laugh on X. Someone said that it was the In-Betweeners quote, but instead of Burnley, they put in the word Larnaca. So I quite like football, but not Larnaca.
But not Larnaca. But the thing about it was, the conversation was, well, now at half time, Larnaca are now going to have to come to us. Okay, they're going to have to come at us and attack us, and then he's going to leave space in behind for us to go and push on for 2, 3, and 4. Well, Paul's about to describe that didn't actually materialise. Go on, mate.
No, well, there was a lot of discussion before the game about what tactics they would play, and everyone was saying that would happen. But I personally thought they would just play the same way they played for the previous 180 minutes because it was successful. So, but yeah, there would have to be a point where they'd have to do that. But obviously, as we'll come to, they scored at a point where it didn't necessarily need it. But yeah, second half started slowly again. We had the first chance, side a run in towards the edge of the box, hit a shot which hit Strand Larson and then fell back to Kamada, who blazed it wide. We then had another booking. Ref was a bit card happy. Was another booking. Max went in the book. Debatable whether it was a booking or not, but never ideal to have two of your centre backs on yellow cards. But yeah, we just seemed to be content at playing the ball, slow pace, not really taking too many risks. Didn't create too many chances, and the game was ambling by. And whether Oliver wanted to change something to try and improve it, I'm not sure. But Munoz then comes back after his injury, so he comes on for Johnson. Johnson, I thought again, he did okay in wing back. He's not a wing back, but ultimately, any of our players should do okay against this opposition wherever they play. To be honest, because they're not the best standard, so you shouldn't have a bad game against them. But yeah, so Munoz comes on, and yeah, then the lack of us going for it or creating another chance comes back to haunt us in the 62nd minute when Larnaca get a corner, swing it in, and pretty poor defending. Sabarit. He gets a free, clear run at it, so he can obviously when you're running, you can always be higher than a standing Chris Richards jump, and yeah, he powers the ball into the bottom corner. So back to our nasty habit of conceding set pieces. So a poor goal to concede, I would say, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And who was that jumping with him? Was that Chris
Richards? Richards, yeah.
I
just think we switched off, didn't we? We just didn't defend it at all. Really poor goal to concede for me. Really disappointed.
Yeah. There was two defenders around it.
Not least because of the importance of the goal. Suddenly we're thinking, oh, God, blimey, we've done the hard work, got in front, and now we're back level. And, once the level, if it did go to penalties, anything can happen. So, yeah, disappointing, very disappointing.
I think it was, a disappointment for me. There was two defenders with him, okay? One didn't actually get off the ground, okay? And the one that did get off the ground didn't jump high enough. And it was a poor watch, if I'm honest with you. And it was a little bit of same old, the feeling in the ground. Go on, T.
To be quite honest, I don't think the defenders actually knew he was there. When you watch it back on TV, he literally pops up behind them. I don't even think they were aware of him.
Yeah,
maybe they should have been. That's the point. They've got to be aware. So
but I don't think they were.
I mean, Theresa was a good point there because obviously that guy was the left back, and obviously Johnson was our right wing back, so perhaps it was his man, and Munoz didn't pick him up. Who knows? But yeah, either way, it was a poor goal. It did spark us into life a little bit. In the 73rd minute, we had a shot. Adam Walton had a shot, which the keeper did well to save. Sprung out to Munoz at a tight angle, and he made a double save with that one.
Will he ever score? Will he ever score?
Adam, I tell you, it's not looking good at this point, is it? But he's having more shots, though. He said that in an interview the other day. At least he's having more attempts, and you never know. And as he said, you need just one to deflect in or whatever. And it's the kind of thing he'll get one, and then he'll score 3 or 4 games in a row. Something stupid. So,
well, he has practiced his back some sorts for his goal scoring.
That's one of the reasons I don't want him to score, to be honest, because I know what'll happen. He'll injure himself doing that, and that'll be the end.
Break his neck, yeah.
But yeah, so and then we, as I say, still attacking again. Walton plays another lovely forward pass to Sarr, who's again going to bow down on goal, but Sabarit pulls him back again. And having done yellow carded for that same offence in the first half, he was shown his second yellow, and off he went. So he couldn't really complain about that.
He was complaining.
But he
How can you complain, though? It's crazy, isn't it? How can he complain about that? It's obvious. What possesses a professional footballer, albeit one that plays football in Cyprus, to pull a player back again when he's on a yellow card? Because he's he's going to go, surely.
It's one of those scenarios. Again, I'm giving you first-hand experience, but from my point of view, it's one of those experiences where you should be jubilant. You should be jumping up and down. They're down to 10 men. Well, you don't as a Palace fan, do you?
No, you don't. No, I think Paul said that in one of our chats, didn't you?
Say again.
Paul said that in one of our chats. He said we're celebrating against 10 men. He said, well, we shouldn't celebrate because we're rubbish against 10 men. But
I said that last week about I didn't see JD Canvo dancing when he had this.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, it's not really something to celebrate usually. When
Paul, I'm just going to interject a minute. I'm just teeing something up for later in the show for the viewers, especially the guys out in YouTube. We're going to be talking about who would become our next manager, or who would you like to become our next manager. Bear in mind, there is a lot of speculation today about Dyche. Don't leave too much on Dyche, okay, because I think it's a load of old crap, and I'll explain why later on. But who would you fancy taking as our next manager? Put it in the chat for me, please. Theresa and Paul are both watching the chat for us, and they'll come on. We'll come on to it at the end of this. Keep going, mate.
Yeah, so obviously with the extra man, Oliver decides to make a change. So Gessard and Richards go off, and on come Pino and Lerma. Richards obviously was on a yellow card. Maybe that had something to do with it, especially as having seen someone just get a second yellow card. Is probably safety first on that option. My only disappointment there was he brought Lerma on and he put him at centre back. So again, we had this discussion against the Leeds game, and we're a man up and we're still playing three at the back when they're showing no attacking prowess at all, and it could have been a good opportunity to put an extra man up front, but obviously that was to come. So yeah, obviously we then have the ball. We're playing the ball around their box all the time because they can't get out. And our first chance really when down having the extra man, Munoz crosses into the box, back post, and Sarr hits it wildly over when it was cut back to him. He spoons it over. He was having a lot of shots the other day, and obviously it's very hard to criticise his mate Sarr, but I think even he knew he should have done a bit better there. But then, 82nd minute, Oliver does the unthinkable for him, and he takes off Canvo and brings on Mateta, who Ian Donald, I presume, is not in the French squad. So we go four at the back, and Mateta up front with Strand Larsen, and they talked about this in the press conference before, and it was good to see, to be honest. We didn't want to go to extra time if we could avoid it. We wanted to hammer home the advantage.
So what formation would you have called that then, Paul?
It was he went 4-4-2, didn't he? Yeah, Pino.
Do you think it was? I mean, because again,
right, Strand Larsen and Mateta
with the two up top, you automatically think that is a 4-4-2. So, but it seemed to be five at the back still and two up top, and it was just a very strange. But I mean, it was to me, it was something we spoke about on the show last week. Ian, I think we were talking about it, that the manager doesn't change very much. I mean, he's very rigid with what he does, playing one up top, five across the back. Were you pleased to see a change in formation at last?
Well, I was pleased to see him take a defender off and bring an attacker on. I think that's the right thing to do. But as you've already alluded to, I'm not really quite sure what formation we were playing. Someone's just put 5-3-2. Tony Quinn said 5-3-2. Probably that was more like it. But no, it was a strange one, really. I must confess, at that time, I think I was probably getting the beers in the pub, and I wasn't really aware too much of what the formation was at the time. I probably had one too many, I don't know. But it was a strange one, wasn't it? But I was pleased with the principle of taking a defender off, bringing an attacking player on when we need a goal. I think that's what needs to be done, and we haven't done that enough this season.
Theresa, before Paul carries on, how did you think Mateta and Strand Larsen played together?
Did they play together? Wasn't much chemistry there, was there?
The reason I asked you the question, because I think they did play as strangers. You could tell that they'd never been on a football pitch before.
No.
They weren't working together at all.
No.
And I make you right. Did they play together? I understand what you meant by that comment.
Yeah.
Because it just, they didn't know each other, did they? They were strangers.
No, there was none of that chemistry like there was when, for example, when Eze was on the pitch with Mateta and he would send the ball up and Mateta knew where the ball was going to be. There seemed to be none of that. But then again, when Mateta's come on, it's almost like he's a little bit tentative, as like, am I in this? Are they going to treat me like a teammate or are they going to isolate me? And I think a couple of times the ball hasn't been given to Mateta when he's been in quite a lot of space. And, well,
I don't think they treat him like. I don't think any professional. I don't. Crystal Palace players will treat Mateta differently and not pass to him because he wanted away. I don't get that. I don't buy into that at all. But clearly he's been injured. He's coming back. He hasn't had a lot of minutes. He's not the player he was. It's as simple as that. We've seen this with players before. When they come back from injury, they're not as, I mean, Munoz even himself, Very good, Ferg.
Made us laugh, Ferg.
Very good. But you probably off the stride now, mate.
Fergus is the only reason he didn't fly to Cyprus, so he didn't have to buy me a beer. That's what that was.
Exactly. Listen, even Munoz isn't back to his best, is he? He's been injured. So I think the more minutes Mateta gets, the better he's going to be. And I don't think for a minute we're isolating him or anything like that. I don't believe.
I think Mateta does feed off the crowd a lot, though.
And he knows that if he's getting isolated, that's where he's getting isolated from, because there was no applause when he came on. Nothing. I suppose it's a bit like the Leeds game the other day. It was just, okay, he's wearing a Palace shirt. We've got to support the guy. But there was nothing, there was no song and there's no boom, boom, boom anymore. That one's gone by the wayside at the delight of Yasmin Broom, because I know she has her own personal thoughts on that subject. Paul, we keep jumping in. I'm sorry, mate. You go.
Yeah, so a minute later, ref's in his pocket again, another yellow card. This time he brandished it to Jurgen Strand-Larsen. And when you look back at the foul, if you can call it that, he's barely touched the guy, who's then gone down like he's been shot by an Iranian drone. And the ref has decided to book him. Now, ordinarily that's life, but it's a costly one, because in his few European appearances for us, he's now got a ban, so he won't be able to play in the first leg of the next match. So we might need to be seeing Mateta more than we thought. But that was a particularly annoying one, because, as I say, it was a ridiculous booking. It was never a foul. But as we've seen in the chat, I think someone put earlier, I mean, the Larnaca players were going down like they've been shot every time. They were desperately trying to get the ref to even things up or just get his card out. So yeah, that was a bit unfortunate. So he's now, so only a few minutes left. We have all the ball around the box. Jurgen had a shot deflected onto the roof of the net, but after a nice through ball from Pino. But really that was it. Second half over and extra time. And I saw an interesting stat on the Palace website, actually, which I couldn't believe. And I haven't actually had a chance to verify, but I have to trust them. Apparently, it's the first time Palace have played extra time since the 2016 FA Cup final.
I saw that as well.
I was amazed at, to be honest. But
I didn't know that.
They ditched it, haven't they, from some of the other cups?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the competitions don't have it anymore, but that's only a recent thing. I thought that was quite surprising, really. But yeah, extra time. Surely Palace were going to come out all guns blazing, you'd like to think, with the extra man and the extra attacker, and just carries on. Go on, Nick.
Yeah, now at this point, and I did allude to it at the top of the show, at this point, the weather really did change. Now, somebody actually, a couple of people were saying to me, our performance changed because we're used to playing in the rain, and their performance weakened because of the weather conditions. Did anybody else think the same?
I just think it was into the game. The longer the game went on, the tighter they became, and the fitness that we had sort of shone through, if you like.
And
the quality of the team, was more evident as the game progressed. That's my take on it. I don't think it had much to do with the weather conditions per se.
Okay, Paul.
So yeah, we have all the ball again around the box, just trying to find that, trying to unlock the door and find that opening. The first chance, 5 minutes into extra time, Pino dinks a lovely ball into the box. Sarr heads over. And as I say, Larnaca at this point are just not an attacking force. And finally, we retake the lead. Adam takes a short corner to Kamada, who crosses the ball low into the box. And there's Sarr, first to react, turns the ball in past the keeper, 2-1. And Sarr's 15th goal of the season. That's the most he's ever scored in a season. And really just goes to show something I think we've said on this show before, and certainly when he's been out injured, he's our most important attacker in this team. He fits the style of play well. He's got the right profile of pace and power. And I think he was excellent the other night, as we said. And it was nice to take the lead. And really, at that point, you're sort of thinking, 2-1 up, you got an extra man, this should be game over. But it would be nice to get that extra goal to put it to bed. And we nearly get it in the 104th minute. Sarr again, edge of the box. It's a lovely curling shot. It comes back off the bar. Not quite that one yet, Luce. But it was a great shot. Would have been a lovely. He's never scored a hat trick, so it would have been a great one to do it.
Yeah.
But then moments later, we nearly score again. Pino's cross this time, and Jurgen Strand-Larsen from close range hits the post. It bounces back to him. He hits the rebound, which hits the keeper, which then falls to Mateta, who surely can't miss, but hits the keeper as well.
Falls over himself.
Yeah, I mean, it was a comedy of errors, really. And when you want that third goal, it was just like, please, just get this. I mean, so at this point, we probably all knew who our potential opponents were, so we're all sort of hoping we can hold this one out. And
we did in the crowd as well, Paul. We did in the crowd.
Yeah, which is because that was a bit of a seesaw game at the other end. But yeah, we knew Fiorentina were awaiting, but we'll come on to them. Second half, extra time. Again, it's all Palace. Larnaca, really, as you say, Nick, you'd have thought at some point they're going to have to say, right, let's just go for it. But they were holding out for as long as possible to do that. And the 113th minute was their first real attack in our box. And the striker goes down, claiming he was pulled over by Max. Again, VAR takes a look, but no penalty, quite clearly. Then a minute later, they have another appeal for a penalty, which was a bit more confusing. That the ball was smashed into the box and sort of comes off Mateta's thigh, but they were claiming it hit his hand. And the ref seemed to sort of believe it for a while. And he almost, I think, he was looking to give a penalty. I think he was desperate to give it, but again, VAR probably they looked at it and said, "Look, no chance. You're not going to go away."
That is a far end to us, and we saw the shot going. Obviously, we were behind the shot going in. We actually. My first impression was, and in fact, I said it to the guy that I was standing with, that's a pen. I couldn't see, obviously, where it landed because it looked, the fact that they all went up so quickly, claiming for a penalty, we actually thought it was a penalty.
Yeah, it was a heart in the mouth job, wasn't it, at that time? Again, because if they get a penalty, they probably score it 2-2, and we're then at the end of extra time, then it's the lottery of penalties. So I was certainly, we stopped in our tracks when we were watching, just praying that and VAR came to our rescue, I suppose, because if it wasn't for VAR, maybe he would have given a pen. Because Ian, that's the
only way. That's the only way they were going to score at that point is by getting, a deflected goal or a dodgy penalty like that. So thank God for VAR, as you rightly said. Carry on, mate.
So yeah, game hopefully drifting towards the end. Hughes comes on for Walton, but yeah, still time for another VAR check. So there's a bit of a challenge on Mateta down by the dugouts. And the ref decides, it's called to the screen again. And when you watch it back, it was above the ankle. It was quite high, and he gives him a straight red card. So Larnaca down to 9 men. So the ref was getting his money's worth the other day. So stoppage time, nothing to lose now. So Larnaca send the keeper forward. Free kick gets swung in, but we managed to clear it. And Mateta rolls it up to Sarr, who's going to take the ball forward and roll it into an empty net. But lo and behold, going for his hat trick again, he hits the post. With this third goal, is just never going to come, is it? And his hat trick's never going to come. So fortunately, it was not a big issue at that point.
We did get a hat trick the other night. You realise that? Hat trick of the Woodworks. We hit the Woodworks 3 times in the same game.
No one's ever gone through to the next round because of that, Nick. And then as I say, that's pretty much game. I mean, Pino, it was still time for Pino to make a mazy run and hit his shot, drag his shot wide, which was a shame. It would have been nice for him to score because he actually made a big impact when he came on, I thought.
Yeah.
They said in the press conference before the game that he's really frustrated with himself at the moment in training, and they're trying to put an arm around him and give him confidence and just say, look, play your game and just don't try too hard, because it's always that baffling. Trying too hard shouldn't never be a problem, but sometimes it can stifle him. But it was nice to see him come on, and he did make a big impact. So that was good. Keeps the competition for places up front fresh, and hopefully gives him a bit of confidence. But yeah, that was it. Final whistle went. Job done. Crystal Palace in a European quarter-final. It wasn't the greatest performance in the world, but ultimately it's cup football. You don't care at the end of the day. If you get through, you're through. So and as we said earlier, we then knew it was Fiorentina to come.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Can I just add, Paul, there? I mean, I thought Pino had a great game. Right that we beat him up, because I think he's had criticism. He hasn't had a lot of minutes either, but I thought he played really, really well when he came on. He wasn't afraid to run with the ball. I think European football suits him. We've seen him do well in this tournament previously, and I was really pleased for him. And you've got to give the man of the match to Sarr. Of course you have, because he scored both goals. But, if you take Sarr out of the equation, then Pino, for me, was the second best player. Thought he was great. Really, really good.
Cool. So that was it. On we go. We march on to the quarterfinals. Lads have already. So I don't know about you guys out there. Flights are already booked. There's the draw. So we are playing on Thursday, the 9th of April at home at 8 o'clock in the evening. These bloody late nights don't do me any good. I should be tucked up in bed by then. And then obviously we've got the return leg a week later. Now, I just wanted to ask a couple of questions. Don't forget that out in the chat, I was asking you about upcoming managers. We're coming on to that next, okay? But there is somebody who just said, big up in the chat. Damo 1168. Are you the Damo I was with on whatever night it was, Wednesday evening, and Thursday afternoon? If you are, hello, mate. Great to spend some time with you. Let me know if you're big Damo. If you are big Damo, I know exactly who you are. I'm big up to you as well. And it is you. Hello, big man. I hope you're well. Did we have a laugh or what? Go on in.
Nick, before we move on from the Larnaca game, there were some stats that I came across on social media that I thought were worth sharing. They're the stats for the game itself. Of course, we had 70% possession and all the stats, no surprises there. This is the interesting thing. These stats, guys, for benefit of the podcast listeners, I'm putting stats on the screen that I'll read out in a minute. These are the stats that are combined from the 3 fixtures against Larnaca. So in the 3 games, we had 57 shots against Larnaca compared to their 12. Shots on target 11-4. Our XG was almost 7. We were expected to get 7 goals from those, and theirs was less than 1. Big chances 14 to their 1. Corners 24-6. But the important stat at the end, of course, is 2 goals each. That's what really counts. Although, obviously we came out on the right side when it really, really mattered in the knockout stages. But I just thought it was interesting to share those stats that we were so dominant that we got, the right result was there. It would have been a travesty if we'd gone out against these.
Ian, thank you for those. Go on, they were good stats. Thank you for that. Go on, Theresa.
Tony Quinn's asking in the chat, did we miss Uche?
I don't think so. No, I don't think. I mean, I like Uche, and I felt sorry for him when he was excluded from the squad. But I guess someone had to miss out.
I think it's very clear. I think it's very clear that he'll be going back. Where did he come from, Paul?
France.
Is it?
Galatasaray, was it? Getafe. Yeah, I think it's very clear that Palace don't see a future in Uche. And as Ian said, he was left out of the European squad for a reason. And I think we know. And Brett's saying he doesn't think too highly of him either. Okay, so, yeah, good stats. Thank you for that, Ian. Well done. I'm glad you compiled those. Where did you nick that from?
Yeah, I nicked it. I didn't. It's not my own work. I hasten to add. I take no shame in that. I nicked it off someone else.
Good stuff. Well, that's what social media is all about, I suppose. Anyway, we're going to move on if you don't mind, because we're down to the last 10 minutes or so. Oh, I wanted to talk about other teams first before we do. Lucy, can you pop up these slides on the other teams so I can just? This is Crystal Palace under 21s against Real Sociedad. And quite frankly, they got an absolute spanking. This was at Sutton, and sadly they ran out 3-0 losers. And I didn't even got the name of the cup they were in, International Cup. Now, I don't know if any of you saw this game today. The under 21s played Liverpool away up in Scousland. Unfortunately, they're still on their way back because they had their wheels nicked off the coach. But this is a high-flying Liverpool under-21s team against a Palace team that are sitting just above mid-table. They'd like to get promotion. But I'm telling you now, I watched this game live, and it was an absolute rout. Palace won 5-1 away at Liverpool. It was just one of those games where every time we got some good players on the periphery of the first-team squad vying for first team. The future is definitely bright. And in that case, it's actually white. The under-18s played away at Fulham. I haven't got the dates of these games. I know I've got them on my phone, Nigel. And that was a 2-2 draw. And then they also played that lot down in the South Coast, which I refused to mention. I had no intention of mentioning them. And that was a 0-0 draw. And today, I also watched this game today. Red and Blue Review are delighted to announce that they were highly represented by wonderful Nigel Croucher at this game. The ladies played away at Newcastle United, and it was a bit of a bore draw, if I'm honest with you. Nothing, Palace were all over Newcastle. I'm sure Nigel would agree. We should have won that game, but it was one of those games where nothing went right. They just could not find the back of the net. But also, they are now in third place. Palace are in third place. They are playing a team the other side of South London very shortly. Their next game is actually at Selhurst Park on Sunday the 29th. So if you're missing your Palace fix over the next few days, get along to Selhurst Park, 2 o'clock kickoff on Sunday the 29th. They are at home to the Clowns. Now, the Clowns are currently 9 points clear of Palace. They are in first place. Palace are in third place, but we are only 3 points behind Birmingham City, who are currently sitting in second place. And I believe this year there's 2 going up from the Women's Championship to the WSL. So get along and support the girls at Selhurst Park, Sunday the 29th, 2 p.m. kickoff. I might make an appearance myself.
Nick, did Decore play on the under-21s?
Decore played for the first 60 minutes. He played. I tell you what, he did do in that game. He played 60 minutes and he played a Walton-esque ball early on in the game, which nearly led to the opener. It was a really, he's looking sharper and sharper. I think that's his 3rd appearance for the 21s now, and he's looking better and better. I don't think it'll be too long before we see him in some sort of involvement for the first team. If nothing else, by the bench. He's not match fit yet. Clearly, he's not match fit. But don't forget, you get Czech Decore, a version of Czech Decore back as he was. Okay, and you got yourself a damn good new signing right in the middle of no transfer window. He was a quality player. He's had a long illness. He's been out for nearly 2 years. I think certainly 18 months. And if we can get the old version back, even a percentage of it back, things are looking good. Maybe they're just easing back and let him go through a proper pre-season training and not use him at all, which might be the wiser thing so he doesn't break down. But if we do and we get the full Czech Decore back next season, really good. Can you imagine him playing alongside Walton? There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I know, absolutely. Right, we're going to move on, guys, if you don't mind, because I'm conscious of the time. I want to talk about potential managers, and there's been a couple of suggestions out in YouTube that I saw go through. Lucy, if you can ping them up on the screen, the ones that you probably highlighted. Dean saying Thomas Frank. I think Nigel Croucher also said Thomas Frank. Is that Cesc Fabregas at Como?
Yeah.
Is it? Blimey.
Mm-hmm.
Cesc Fabregas, I didn't even know he was a manager. Lee
He's doing very well.
Is he? Lee's saying anybody apart from Gareth Southgate. Nigel's saying Thomas Frank. There was... again, John Kenny saying Thomas Frank, Frank, Iriola or Carrick, but no way Sean Dyson is our Yaz. Okay, Ian Donald, Ariola from Bournemouth. I think, from what I'm understanding, Ariola is going to be going on to bigger and better things than us. And Tony Quinn saying bigger engine. I don't think so somehow, but there you go, Paul.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, this one, because obviously it's a tough situation. You'd like to think on some side that Palace have got someone lined up, ready to go, which is one of the possible reasons they wanted to keep Glasner until the summer. But half of me thinks that's a good idea. But then the other half thinks if you've done that, you sort of rule out anyone who's potentially becomes available later on the list. Now, if I had my pick of the managers at the moment, I'd go for Iriola at Bournemouth. Now, he's been out, everyone's known for a while he's coming out of contract, and they've managed to keep it not under wraps, so they've managed to not. He doesn't get asked about it every week, and there's no say of what he's going to do. But in the last couple of weeks, I think Bournemouth are starting to get a bit tetchy, and they want to know. Now, I think what might help us here, because there were talk Man United, Liverpool, all these sort of clubs looking at, but I think, again, I wouldn't have a problem at Palace. I think he's probably, the Tottenham experiment with him went so badly. I think bigger clubs now might look twice at a lower club manager. If you've done well at a lower club, someone like a Frank, an Iriola, or a Glasner, I think these big clubs will sort of look twice and see, well, look how that works. So whether Iriola can go on to bigger things would be interesting to see. I mean, I think Bournemouth is we're a step up from Bournemouth, I'd like to think. And if there was any chance we could get him, I think he'd be my first choice right now.
I honestly believe he'll go on to something better than Palace. Theresa, you were looking at the. Did you say you had the betting stats?
I do indeed.
What you got?
Well, currently the top runner for the Palace job. Obviously, you guys are all on Thomas Frank. He's in at currently he was 3-1 before we came on air. Sean Dyche is 4-1. However, he is now being heavily linked to Spurs to take over from what's his name, Igor Tudor, is what I heard. Our current favourite, leading the betting, is Robbie Keane at 13-8. He's currently managing Hungary. Yeah. And there's been a lot of the betting sites of him has had him up at like really short odds. Don't know how anyone feels. I mean, my personal, if I had a wish list, I'd go for Jose Mourinho or Marcelo Bielsa. But Mourinho's 66-1 and Bielsa's 33-1. I had a look just for a giggle. Thomas Frank is actually 3-1 at the moment. And another name that I did see, I don't know if any of you know him, is Jose Bordelas. He's the current manager at Getafe, which is why I smirked when you said about Uchi going back to Getafe. He's 10-3.
Graham Daniels is saying Nick to do the joint stadium announcer's job and first day manager job. I also see Roger Smith's been mentioned in the chat and Ralph Renyak's been mentioned in the chat. Ian, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say I can't see Robbie Keane. I just don't see that happening. I think Roger Smith is an interesting one, really experienced manager. Obviously, never managed in the Premier League, but he's managed Benfica to a title, managed PSV, Bayer Leverkusen, Red Bull Salzburg. So he's got a lot of experience. Not sure about that really, but he's quite high on the betting. I think in other names, I mean, even Frank Lampard's been mentioned, hasn't he? He's at Coventry, done a great job there.
He's 33.
I think, Paul, coming back to what you said, I think Iriola is the one. I think if we can get Iriola, the Bournemouth manager, I think that'll be fantastic because he's got Premier League experience and clearly he's a very competent coach and we need someone that can manage players and get more out of them.
The bookies have him at 14-1, Ian.
Iriola.
What about our own Paddy McCarthy? He's on 20-1.
Okay.
Right,
Paul come in.
Paul.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the cheap options, Roger Schmidt. I mean, he's not managed for I think 18 months or so, and he's got some ambassadorial role currently with the Japanese league, so he's a bit out of practice. And as I say, wouldn't cost anything. But I know Glasner is a difference, but I always prefer managers to have had a bit of Premier League experience. I think it does help. And Thomas Frank is a natural fit for a club of our size, so he's available and is one of the options. So there's a few about. It would be interesting to see if anyone else becomes available towards the end of the season or after work or something. But for me, it would be nice if we could announce it. It's pretty much a day after the season ends, whenever that is, because I think there's going to be a lot of upheaval this summer anyway. We obviously know players out of contract. We know that obviously Kamada's going to go. Lerma, I think, is out of contracts. There's going to be talk about Walton leaving, things like that. Uche's going to go back. Gessard, do we sign him? Now, all these things that really would be good to get tied up, because if a manager wants Gessard, then you play him and you have to play him. But Oliver Glasner obviously wants to win every game and he doesn't care about the future, so which is fine. That's his role and he's been given that role. But if he plays him every week and we have 28 million and a new manager doesn't want him, it's not ideal. So it's a bit of a balancing act at the moment for Palace. They got to have an eye on that. And same with Uche. The new manager might want Uche, and us not playing him doesn't get him. So all these questions. So it would be good to get that done first thing the day after the last game of the season. Get a new guy in, and hopefully we can hit the ground running.
I'll come back to that in a second.
Do you really think that's going to happen, Paul? Do you really think that's going to happen?
Sadly, I don't, but that's what should happen.
Yeah. Theresa, do we have any odds on Paddy McCarthy?
Paddy McCarthy's 20-1.
There you go. There's the answer. Okay, and this is one decent thing that's come out of this is, he's announced in October. He made his decision in October that he's going. If Palace haven't done their due diligence by now and got somebody signed, sealed, and delivered, somebody needs their bloody heads shaken because they've had time to do it and consider it carefully and just get it done. And by the way, going back to Andy's question in the chat, Nick, do your stadium announcer's job. One thing I will put on my mandate is that we will, if I have anything to do with it, I won't be doing a stadium announcement for you, mate. One thing I will do, and I will put it on my mandate, if I'm allowed to do so, we will be going back to a proper Crystal Palace playlist pre-kickoff. Okay, a proper Crystal Palace playlist.
You heard it here first, or the Red and Blue Review.
Paul.
Yeah, you won't have that kind of power, Nick, I'm afraid. It's just quite interesting when you talk about the playlist. Obviously, I think we all saw the HF requesting that the music was turned off for the last European game before the game so we could get an atmosphere going. And we were told by the club that, no, you can't do that because it's UEFA rules. They have to have their own playlist or something, which is a bit ridiculous.
It is
But ironically, Newcastle tweeted the other day that before their European game, UEFA had let them turn off all their music so that the crowd could get the atmosphere going. So you sort of have to wonder whether our club...
Somebody's not telling truth then.
Yeah.
Lucy, could we have the upcoming fixtures, please? Because I understand we've got, first of all, I believe we've got a fixture change, first of all. The Newcastle game. Sorry, Luke, I've messed you about there. I can't see that very clearly, but it's the fixture again on Sunday, the 12th of April, is that? Yeah. Is now a 2:00 kickoff live on Sky Sports. So that's the home fixture against Newcastle has been changed to the Sunday, 12th of April at 2:00. And the rest of the fixtures are on screen for the benefit of those that can't see the screen. Our next game, believe it or not, is the next round, is the quarterfinals of the European Conference League. And that's 8:00 kickoff on the 9th of April against Fiorentina, obviously on TNT Sports, followed by the Newcastle game that I just said, and then followed by the away leg in Italy. Now, guys, Italy, Lucy, can you just take that down just for a second? I just want to show the guys, Italy's over there, that you guys, Gatwick Airport's down there. If it's any help, if you need help with your travel arrangements, you lot, just give me a shout. Put it back on screen for me. Go on, Paul.
Yeah, we're already done and dusted. Thanks, Nick.
And going back to the fixtures, Monday the 20th of April, the day after my birthday, guys, you don't have to buy me anything too big this year. Okay, is home game against West Ham. Ian said to me pre-show that he doesn't think that there'll be more games for the relegation thing to be sorted out by then. But do you realize, in my head, and I've had it like this since Christmas, we could potentially send West Ham down on the 20th of April and back up again, Luke, please. We could potentially send West Ham down and finishing off. And then we've got a tricky away game at Anfield, of course, because they could be easily be the. They're not actually going to. They can still qualify for the Champions League. That's all they can qualify for now, because obviously they're not in the title chase. But they're not playing that great, so there's potential there. And an away game at Bournemouth on Saturday, the 2nd of May at 3:00. What are your predictions out there? How do you think we're going to get on? I'd love to know your thoughts, please, for the Newcastle game and the Fiorentina game. What would be an acceptable result for you guys? Let's go, Ian, I'll ask you. Except for the Italian game.
Listen, I just hope we get a decent result in the home game, because if we don't, then going away to Italy might not be so much fun. I'm going to go for a narrow win at home to Fiorentina. I think, we'll beat them 2-1, 1-0, something like that. We'll take a lead, hopefully, over to Italy. As for Newcastle, they haven't been travelling that well away from home in the Premier League until they played Chelsea the other week. When they did win, they lost at home today to Sunderland. So again, I'd like to think we can beat Newcastle at Selhurst. So again, narrowly, or maybe a draw. I don't know, but let's keep this run going without losing football matches. It just feels like we need to be doing that in the Premier League as well as in the Conference League. We need to be winning or drawing games to ensure that we got that. The confidence is still there. That's what I'm trying to say.
Theresa, your thoughts?
I think we will win against Fiorentina. They conceded very early this evening against Inter, didn't they? I think in the first 29 seconds, Inter had scored.
Did they? I don't know.
Yeah. So I think we'll win probably. I'm going 2-0 at home against Fiorentina.
And Newcastle?
Newcastle, I think we've got a 2-1 win there.
Thank you. And Paul?
Yeah, I mean, as Rob said, Fiorentina are not having a good league season in Italy at the moment, but they do seem to turn it on for this competition. I'd take any win. I'd take a 1-goal win to take out their place would be good. And again, Newcastle, as I say, all depends. It's in the middle of the two ties, whether, like he did last week, he rested the midfield for the Leeds game, didn't he, between the matches, whether he does all that, it'd be interesting to see. But I'd like to think we'll get beat Newcastle, but again, it all depends on the team. I think hopefully safe in the league, so he might rest some, but hopefully 2 1-goal wins.
Okay, well, I'm not going to give you predictions on those two games, but I am going to make a prediction to you. If we beat Fiorentina, I will predict that we will go all the way and lift the trophy.
Yeah.
Nick Philpott gave you that. Lucy, when is our next show, please? So, because of the prolonged break that we're about to have, the red and blue team are going to take a much deserved break as well, unless anything happens where we change our manager or something like that, or we re-sign Ian Wright, who's going to come up on loan till the end of the season, or something miraculous happens at the club. We're going to take a bit of a break, and our next show will be Monday the 13th of April at 8 o'clock, and hopefully you'll join us then. Thank you, my lovey. Any other business from you guys? Theresa?
No, I'm just looking forward to Fiorentina.
Fiorentina. Anything else from you guys, or are we done?
Just to say that if you can't get yourself out to Italy for the second leg against Fiorentina, do make sure you get yourself to Selhurst for the first leg on the 9th of April. You know, everyone make a real effort to get to Selhurst. Let's sell it out. You know, it was a shame to see some empty seats in the previous home tie in the Conference League. I know it's not that, you know, there's a lot of debate about the pricing, you know, should it be lower? But look, you know, it's not every year we're in the quarterfinal of a European competition. So get yourself to Selhurst and let's really have a great night and take that win out there in the second leg.
And you know, as Ian said, if you're not going to make it out to Italy, well, you don't judge everybody by your cover, Mr. Noble. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of my team on the Red and Blue Review, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Lucy in the background. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. We're going to have a couple of weeks off. Talk to you soon. Take care. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Up the